The first thing I noticed when I entered the Grand Palace of Varelia was the quiet. Not the peaceful kind. Not the reverent hush of a cathedral or the disciplined silence of a military hall. This was different. This was the silence of predators pausing mid-breath, every instinct screaming that something unexpected had just stepped into their territory. And that something apparently was me. I was human attaché Elias Ward, Earth's official diplomatic representative to the Varelian stellar dominion. I had rehearsed for weeks, memorized protocols, studied alien body language, even practiced controlling my heart rate under pressure. None of that prepared me for the way thousands of alien eyes locked onto me the moment the doors sealed behind my escort. Varelians were imposing creatures. Tall, bioluminescent crests crowning their elongated skulls, four-jointed limbs, skin like polished obsidian veined with faint pulses of light. They were ancient, proud, and terrifyingly powerful. Their empire spanned hundreds of systems. Humanity had joined the interstellar community barely 40 years ago. We were children walking into a god's throne room. At the far end of the hall sat Queen Zithra the Eternal, her throne grown rather than built, living crystal shaped by centuries of genetic mastery. Her presence pressed down on the room like gravity itself. Beside her stood generals, scholars, priests, and assassins masquerading as courtiers. This meeting was supposed to be a formality, a signing, a trade agreement, nothing more. Then the palace went silent. Not gradually, instantly. The low hum of translators cut off. The faint rustle of robes ceased. Even the ambient glow dimmed, as if the palace itself had drawn in a breath. I didn't know why, until I felt small arms wrap around my waist. For half a second, my training screamed at me to react, to step back, to call security, to do anything other than stand frozen in shock. But the being hugging me wasn't an assassin. It was a child. She was small for a Varelian, her bioluminescent crest barely flickering, her skin softer, lighter in hue. Her eyes, those impossible, multifaceted eyes, looked up at me with something I hadn't seen in this palace. Relief. "I found you," she said softly through the translator. "You're warm." The air shattered. Weapons emerged. Generals surged forward. Priests shrieked warnings. A dozen guards aimed bioplasma lances at my head. And the queen rose. "Stop." The word cracked through the hall like thunder. Every Varelian froze mid-motion. Queen Zithra descended from her throne, her expression unreadable, ancient eyes locked not on me, but on her daughter. Princess Threxia, the heir to the Varelian dominion, the most protected being in 3 galaxies. And she was hugging a human. My mind raced. I was about to die. There was no other logical conclusion. Then Queen Zithra did something that rewrote everything I thought I knew about alien royalty. She bowed. Not deeply. Not submissively. But unmistakably. "To you," she said, her voice resonating through the hall, "I owe a debt beyond empire." The silence deepened, heavy with disbelief. Threxia tightened her grip. "He saved me," she said simply. That was when the memories clicked into place. 6 months earlier, during a joint exploration mission on the fringe of Varelian space, our convoy had been ambushed by void predators, energy-based entities that devoured ships whole. The Varelian escort had been damaged, shields failing. One escape pod had ejected blindly into the void. Inside it had been Threxia, traveling incognito as part of a cultural study. And me. I remembered it now. The failing life support, the cold vacuum pressing in, the panic in her alien eyes. Varelians couldn't survive prolonged exposure to low-energy environments. Humans apparently could. I had wrapped her in my arms to conserve heat, fed power from my suit into her bioluminescent crest, and kept talking, telling stories about Earth, about oceans and rain and sunrises, until rescue arrived. I hadn't thought it was extraordinary. I'd thought it was human. She was dying, Queen Zithra said to the court. And he gave her warmth, gave her time, gave her life. The generals lowered their weapons. The priests fell to their knees. I stood there, heart pounding, as the most powerful being in the galaxy regarded me with something dangerously close to gratitude. You did not know who she was, the queen continued. You expected no reward. No, your majesty, I said carefully. She was just someone who needed help. A ripple moved through the court. Confusion. Awe. Discomfort. Queen Zithra studied me for a long moment. Then she laughed, a sound like crystal bells fracturing. That, she declared, is why the palace went silent. She turned to her people. We have conquered worlds, subjugated species, bent physics to our will. Yet it is humanity who reminds us of something we lost. Her gaze returned to me. Compassion without calculation. Threxia finally released me and stepped forward, placing a small, clawed hand in mine. The contact sent a visible pulse of light through her crest. I want him to stay, she said. Every Varelian noble stiffened. Queen Zithra smiled. So be it. The agreement signed that day went far beyond trade. Humanity was granted protected ally status, shared technology, open borders. But the true change wasn't written on any data pad. It was cultural. Varelians began studying human psychology. Human concepts of empathy, sacrifice, and family spread through their rigid society. Where once strength meant dominance, now it included restraint. Where once mercy was weakness, now it was strategy. As for me, I became something unexpected. Not a prisoner, not a pet, a bridge. Years later, when I walk the palace halls, Varelians bow not out of fear, but respect. Threxia, now nearly grown, still seeks me out when the weight of the empire presses too hard. Sometimes she still hugs me, and every time she does, the palace goes silent. Not because of fear, but because an entire empire remembers the moment they learned what it truly meant to be strong.